I still can't believe the audacity, the sheer venom that dripped from her words, like acid dissolving any last shred of familial affection I had left. No room for your discount store kids at this party. My sister smirked, her eyes gleaming with a malicious satisfaction as she watched my 5-year-old daughter, Lily, run back to me, her little face crumpled in tears, her tiny shoulders shaking with sobs. Was I wrong for what I did next? Tell me honestly, would you have done the same thing? It all started, I suppose, with our childhood. My sister, Clara, and I were never close. She was always the golden child, the one who excelled in everything: academics, sports, popularity. I was, in her eyes, merely tolerable. Our parents, bless their hearts, tried to foster a sense of sisterhood, but Clara always saw me as competition, a shadow to outshine. This dynamic only intensified as we grew older. She went to a prestigious university, landed a high-flying job in corporate law, and married a wealthy man, John, who owned several successful tech startups. Their life was a carefully curated Instagram feed of luxury vacations, designer clothes, and exclusive parties. My path was different. I pursued a career in teaching, a job I loved for its impact, not its financial rewards. I married Mark, a wonderful, kind-hearted man who worked as a carpenter, and together we built a loving, albeit modest, home. We had 2 beautiful children, Lily, who was 5, and Tom, who was 3. They were our world, bright, energetic, and full of an innocent joy that Clara seemed to dismiss as naive. The rift between us widened subtly at first, then became a gaping chasm. Clara would often make passive, aggressive remarks about our choices, disguised as concern. Oh, it must be so challenging making ends meet on a teacher's salary, she'd say, sipping her expensive wine while I tried to enjoy a simple family dinner. Or, are you sure you want to send Lily to public school? I mean, the opportunities just aren't the same. Each comment was a tiny barb, designed to remind me of our differing statuses. I usually let them slide, choosing to maintain peace for the sake of our parents, who desperately wanted us to get along. Mark, bless his patience, would often squeeze my hand under the table, a silent understanding passing between us. He knew the pain her words inflicted, even if I tried to hide it. Then came the grand announcement. Clara and John were throwing an extravagant party for their son, Leo's, 6th birthday. Leo was Clara's only child, and everything he had was top of the line, from his designer clothes to his ridiculously expensive toys. The invitation was a thick, embossed card, complete with a dress code and a list of requested gifts from a high-end toy store. It was going to be held at a lavish country club, complete with a bouncy castle, a magician, and a gourmet catering service. My kids, Lily and Tom, were absolutely thrilled. They adored their cousin Leo, despite Clara's best efforts to keep them separate. Lily had picked out a special handmade card for Leo, adorned with glitter and a crayon drawing of the 2 of them playing. Tom, in his toddler enthusiasm, kept babbling about cake. I was a little hesitant, knowing how Clara usually behaved, but Mark convinced me. It's family, honey. The kids deserve to celebrate with their cousin, he'd said. So I painstakingly picked out matching outfits for Lily and Tom, not designer, but clean and presentable. Lily wore a pretty floral dress I'd bought on sale, and Tom had on his best little collared shirt. We even bought a moderately priced, but still fun, building block set for Leo, knowing how much he enjoyed construction toys. We wrapped it carefully, and Lily insisted on carrying her handmade card herself. The day of the party arrived, bright and sunny. The country club was even more opulent than I'd imagined. Valets parked cars, and uniformed staff greeted guests at the entrance. My heart pounded a little as we walked in, feeling slightly out of place amidst the perfectly coiffed women and men in tailored suits. Clara, looking stunning in an expensive designer dress, spotted us immediately. She greeted Mark with a perfunctory nod, then turned her gaze to Lily and Tom. Her smile, which had been plastered on for the other guests, faltered slightly. "Oh, you made it," she said, her tone devoid of warmth. Leo's playing over by the bouncy castle. Lily, beaming, started to run towards the bouncy castle, clutching her card. Tom, equally excited, toddled after her. That's when it happened. Clara stepped forward, blocking Lily's path. "Hold on, sweetie," she said, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness. Lily looked up at her aunt, her innocent eyes wide. "What is it, Aunt Clara?" Clara knelt down, a condescending smile playing on her lips. "Listen, Lily, Bug," she began, and I instantly felt a prickle of unease. "This is a very special party for Leo. All of his friends are from a very particular kind of family, you know, and well, we just don't have enough room for everyone, especially, well, kids who aren't quite used to this kind of environment. It might be a bit overwhelming for you." My blood ran cold. I started to step forward, but before I could speak, Clara leaned in conspiratorially, as if sharing a secret. That's when the words, the utterly vile, unforgettable words, tumbled out of her mouth, sharp as broken glass. "No room for your discount store kids at this party." Lily's face, which had been hopeful and curious, crumpled instantly. Her lower lip began to tremble, and her eyes welled up with tears. She didn't understand the full implications of discount store kids, but she understood the tone, the rejection, the clear message that she wasn't good enough. She dropped Leo's handmade card, which fluttered to the perfectly manicured grass, and spun around, running back to me, burying her face in my leg, sobbing inconsolably. Tom, seeing his sister's distress, also started to cry, confused and upset. My vision narrowed. All the years of passive-aggressive remarks, the thinly veiled insults, the constant put-downs, they all coalesced into a blinding rage. Mark, who had witnessed the entire exchange, looked equally horrified and furious. He immediately knelt down to comfort Lily and Tom, his face a mask of concern and anger. Clara, meanwhile, straightened up, a smug, triumphant look on her face. She saw nothing wrong with what she had just done. In her twisted logic, she was simply protecting her son's elite party from the contamination of my discount store children. "Clara, what did you just say?" I managed, my voice trembling with suppressed fury. She just shrugged, a dismissive flick of her wrist. "Oh, come on, don't be so dramatic. I'm just being honest. Leo's friends come from specific circles, and honestly, your kids just don't fit in. It's awkward for everyone. Besides, they'd probably break something expensive. That was it. The dam broke. My hands clenched into fists, my nails digging into my palms. I felt a primal urge to scream, to lash out, to make her feel just a fraction of the pain she had inflicted on my innocent daughter. My beautiful, kind, creative Lily, who only wanted to give her cousin a handmade card. This wasn't just about a party. It was about years of belittlement, of being made to feel inferior, of having my children, my most precious beings, insulted and discarded. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Here I stood, my children crying, my sister smirking, and a lifetime of resentment boiling to the surface. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have walked away, preserving some semblance of peace, or would you have fought back? I looked at Clara, then at Lily, still sobbing into my leg, her small body shaking. Mark held Tom, his jaw tight. A cold, hard resolve settled over me. I wasn't going to let this slide. Not this time, not when my children were the target. I took a deep breath, forcing my voice to be calm, though inside I was a raging inferno. "Clara," I said, my voice low but cutting, "you have just crossed a line that you can never uncross. You have insulted my children openly in front of them, and for that there will be consequences." She scoffed. "Oh, please, what are you going to do? Tell Mom and Dad? They always take my side." "No," I said, a slow, dangerous smile spreading across my face. "Something much more permanent. You see, Clara, you thrive on appearances, don't you? On your perfect life, your perfect parties, your perfect image. You care more about what people think than you do about family, about kindness, about basic human decency." Her smile wavered a little, sensing the shift in my tone. "What are you talking about?" she asked, a hint of unease entering her voice. "I'm talking about your carefully constructed facade." I continued, my voice gaining strength. "You know, the one where you're the successful, loving sister and aunt. The one where you're so generous and benevolent. Well, I'm about to show everyone the real Clara. The one who calls innocent children discount store kids and actively tries to exclude them because they don't meet her arbitrary standards of wealth and status." I then did something that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. I pulled out my phone. "You know, Clara," I said, raising it slightly, "I happen to have a recording of our conversation just now, every word, including your incredibly charming little quip about discount store kids. I always record important conversations just in case." This was a lie, of course. I hadn't been recording, but the sheer terror that flashed across her face was priceless. She knew her husband, John, was a stickler for public image, and the thought of such a damning recording getting out would ruin her carefully crafted reputation among their elite social circle. "What, you wouldn't," she stammered, her face paling. "Oh, I absolutely would," I said, my smile widening. "And I'm not just going to send it to Mom and Dad. No, I'm going to send it to every single person in your address book, every one of John's business associates, every parent at Leo's fancy private school. I'll post it on social media. I'll make sure the world knows exactly what kind of person you truly are. A cruel, snobbish bully who makes little children cry for not being rich enough." I paused, letting my words sink in. "And then, I'm going to delete you from my life, and from my children's lives, permanently." Clara's face was a masterpiece of horror. She looked around frantically, suddenly aware of the other guests, who were now subtly glancing our way, drawn by the raised voices and the crying children. Her perfect party, her perfect image, was crumbling before her eyes. "No, you can't, you wouldn't dare," she whispered, her voice laced with desperation. "Try me," I said, my voice cold as ice. "Tell my children you're sorry, truly sorry, or I press send." She looked at Lily, still clinging to me, then at Tom, who had stopped crying and was now watching with wide, curious eyes. Her expensive dress seemed to suddenly feel too tight, her carefully applied makeup unable to hide the panic in her eyes. The thought of her meticulously constructed world collapsing was clearly unbearable to her. She swallowed hard, her haughty demeanor completely gone, replaced by fear and a flicker of something that might have been shame. "Lily," she began, her voice a strained whisper, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean it. It was a joke, a bad joke." Lily slowly lifted her head, her tear-streaked face looking at her aunt. She was too young to fully grasp the nuances, but she understood sorry. "That's not good enough, Clara," I said, my voice firm. "You called her a discount store kid. You made her cry. You tell her why you did it, and you mean it." Clara wrung her hands. I was being silly. I was being mean. I was wrong. You are not a discount store kid, Lily. You are wonderful, and I am so sorry. Please forgive me." Her apology sounded forced, but the fear in her eyes was genuine. She was terrified of the social repercussions. It wasn't about genuine remorse, but about self-preservation. And in that moment, that was enough for me. My goal wasn't to make her a better person, but to protect my children and make her understand the gravity of her actions. I watched her for a long moment, then slowly lowered my phone. "Fine," I said, my voice still firm. "But understand this, Clara. This is your last chance. If you ever speak to my children like that again, if you ever make them feel less than, I will unleash hell on your perfect little world. And I won't hesitate." She nodded frantically. "I understand. I promise. Never again." "Good," I said, then looked at Lily. "Sweetheart, do you want to play at the party?" Lily sniffled, looking from her aunt to me. But Aunt Clara said I wasn't allowed." I knelt down and hugged her tightly. "Aunt Clara was wrong, baby, and she's very sorry. You are allowed, and you are loved. Now, go give Leo your card." Lily, still a little hesitant, slowly walked back towards the discarded card on the grass, picked it up, and tentatively headed towards the bouncy castle. Clara watched her go, a strange mix of relief and resentment on her face. I knew this wouldn't magically transform her into a loving sister, but it had bought my children a temporary reprieve from her cruelty, and it had, more importantly, shown her that there were lines she could not cross without severe consequences. Mark came over, squeezing my shoulder. "You were amazing," he whispered, pride shining in his eyes. We stayed for a little while, just long enough for Lily and Tom to enjoy some cake and the bouncy castle, but my heart wasn't truly in it. The damage had been done. I avoided Clara for the rest of the party, and she, thankfully, avoided me. As we were leaving, I saw her talking to John, who looked deeply uncomfortable and was giving her stern looks. I knew my threat had shaken her to her core. In the days and weeks that followed, Clara's behavior towards us shifted. She was civil, even overly polite, when we saw her at family gatherings. The snide remarks stopped. She even made a point of complimenting Lily's drawing once, though it felt forced. I knew it wasn't genuine change, but rather a fear of exposure. And honestly, that was fine by me. I had drawn a boundary, and for now, she was respecting it. Our relationship remains strained, a fragile truce held together by my explicit threat and her fear of public humiliation. I have since set up a group chat with a few trusted family members, just in case, and I often screenshot our conversations, just to be safe. It's a sad reality, but sometimes you have to be the villain in someone else's story to protect your own. My children are my priority, and I will always fight for them. This whole mess really taught me that family ties don't always mean unconditional love, and sometimes you have to stand up for yourself and your loved ones, no matter how uncomfortable or dramatic it gets. Like this video if you were on my side, and subscribe for more stories like this. Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I'll see you all in the next story.